Hello, everybody, and welcome. Lovely to see you all. So welcome to this open webinar on the theme of how to speak about the truth. Let's start by just taking some moments to close our eyes and feel whatever is here right now for you. Noticing the sensations that are here. Scanning the body, just acknowledging whatever is here. It's all welcome to be here. It's all welcome in whatever form it is appearing right now, uniquely for you. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing. Nothing means anything. And if you notice that there is some kind of thought, meaning that seems to be attached to whatever you feel, then just notice that too. Noticing the breath, just the way it is. Noticing if there are any thoughts. They're also welcome here, but we just don't give them any higher value or meaning more than any other sensation. They are just another phenomena arising now. Noticing how you feel as we sit here together, noticing energetically how it is when we come together all with the intention to wake up, to be free, to live the truth of who we are. Even though it's online and we're not physically in the same room, still we can feel the depth of this coming together with the same intention. And just sinking into that right now, relaxing back into this depth of our love of truth. Breathing deep into the belly, really with each breath acknowledging the presence of who you are. That I'm here now, aware of this experience right now. This sensation, this sound, this moment, just the way it is. And taking a moment to just acknowledge our deepest longing and love of truth and freedom, openness. And perhaps even the longing to speak and share about this truth. Just feeling that. Perhaps it's accompanied by a certain sensation in the body or emotion. So when you're ready, we can open our eyes and come back. So what is the truth that we're longing to speak about? Well, it is the truth of who we are, right? And when we have a glimpse or a recognition or a moment where we feel that sense of expansion, there can be a natural longing to share that. So when we recognize I'm not limited to this me in here or this story, there can be a sense of such expansiveness and spaciousness that it can feel like it can't be contained in here, that it longs to overflow into expression and sharing, often particularly to those close to us or those that we see around us suffering, still believing in their thinking, taking themselves very seriously. So we long to share and express what we've recognized. But most of the time, when we try to do that, it can come out as a bunch of concepts, a nice spiritual story that are perhaps full of beautiful spiritual concepts and words, but very rarely do they actually convey what you've recognized or what has deeply touched you. I know for myself, once I recognized and consciously acknowledged the truth of who I am, there was this real longing to share it. And at the time, this was quite a few years ago, at the time I was traveling in Australia. And I remember I arrived at like a campsite where I was going to be staying. And I met some other people just in the kitchen. Somehow I found myself desperately wanting to share with them. And so I started to speak about this, and it turned into this kind of philosophical debate. And I noticed in my body that I just felt sick at how somehow what I was sharing was not being, what I recognized was not being conveyed in the words, in what I was expressing. And I just didn't know how to do that. And I was trying, but all I could do was kind of regurgitate old concepts or concepts that I had heard or read. And despite the fact that I genuinely did recognize the truth of who I am, still I couldn't express it. It was so frustrating. And so after that, I decided, right, that's it. I'm not going to even try to do that, because it felt actually sickening. Like I wanted to throw up. It was so awful, the feeling, the fact that it wasn't congruent. What I recognized and what was coming out of my mouth, it just was not in alignment. So I decided just to shut up. I prefer to be alone with this than to try to share this. And perhaps you can recognize you might have tried to share this message, and all that comes out are dead concepts. And that's what people hear then. They hear, sorry, I'll just mute someone's. Yeah, all that you hear then are concepts. All that they hear are concepts. And then, of course, it becomes a mental debate. And in fact, the truth of who we are is beyond thought, right? When you recognize your true nature, or when you have a moment where you acknowledge that I'm not limited to this body, this mind, this apparent person, then it's got nothing to do with concepts, even the most beautiful spiritual concepts. So then how to convey this truth that is even, of course, beyond the word truth. This word truth is just like, it doesn't say it. So I feel that first of all, we have to acknowledge that every word is wrong, and every word will always be wrong. That you're never going to find the perfect words to really say this in some ideal way, according to your mind. And when you acknowledge that every word is going to be wrong, there's a great freedom in that. And you stop trying to get the right words. And then there's no more effort, because a lot of when we are trying to, when we're trying, right, we're trying to say this, then that effort of trying is what really is transmitted. And our true nature doesn't require any effort. It is who we are effortlessly. You don't need to do anything to become this. This is who you are already. So as long as we're trying to express this or trying to share this, this is not the way. This is always going to fail. All you transmit is making effort. Also, who we are, who we truly are, and this message is beyond separation, right? So as long as you are trying from a me trying to tell you, you are actually reinforcing the concept and the belief in separation. You are implying that I know something that you don't know, and I need to tell you. In other words, you're missing something and that I've got. So it's not like that. It doesn't work. Then you just are telling a story about non-duality or satsang or spirituality. You're reinforcing a belief in a separate me for yourself and for the other. You're making what you have recognized into some kind of belief system or religion in a way. You're feeding a spiritual identity for yourself and a kind of poor me seeker identity for the other. So this is not the way. So when you stop trying, you just, okay, admit that I can't share this. It's not up to me to share this. Then you don't share this, right? Then you're alone with this. There's perhaps a heartbreak in that, because especially when your loved ones are suffering, then there is a natural longing to share. But until you can truly trust that life will use you to share if it uses you, it's not up to a separate me to choose to share. Perhaps you might have experienced a moment where you're with somebody and without any effort, something just pops out of your mouth that is like, oh, wow, that's a gem, right? Where did that come from, right? I didn't, if I would have had to think about that, that would have been really difficult. But somehow life in that moment just used you to express something that was really needed for that other person to hear, and also for yourself in that moment. So it's those moments where life just uses this human to express itself. It uses this mouth to speak itself. And if you are in surrender in that moment, in other words, if you are not trying to grasp or do something or try, there's no effort. If in that moment you are able to just trust and allow, even allow is too much, but you're just stepping back, like leaning back, letting life use you, then you never know what can come out of your mouth. And this is how it happened for me, but it took a long time of just being alone with this and not sharing, because I didn't want to feel so sickened by myself, by this conceptual way of sharing. And then in its own time, life used me. And of course now it's using me a lot. But it's not like that for everyone. You might find that life uses you to express itself in another form. Maybe speaking is not the form for you. Maybe it's through art, let's say, painting, dancing, singing. Maybe it's in your work in some way. Maybe it's in one particular way of connecting with people when you're on one-to-one with someone. Maybe it's through touch. If you're doing some kind of body work, sometimes it can feel like life is using you through your hands, through your body. So life uses us to express itself, to sing its own song, right? So that longing to share, it's a beautiful longing, but you could say it's a longing a longing for life to express itself in form, for the formless to dance itself in this play of form. And that can be in any way that we don't know, you know. I feel like it first has to be that we say, I don't know how to express this. And when the thinking says, I don't know, it bows down. It says, you know, I'm not the one to know how to express this. It's not up to me. Then there's a stepping aside of this me, this separate me, this story of me. And then living in wonder at each moment when life might use you to express itself. And if it doesn't, in the way you might hope for, then this is perfect. This is just the way it must be. If it is expressing itself in silence, in aloneness, then this is exactly as it must be. Then you're alone with feeling your longing to share and express. And this is the perfect expression of life itself, just as it is. Not every expression needs to be an apparent outward expression. It can also be this just feeling whatever is here. This is the perfect expression of life, of the truth of who you are. And of course, it can change. You never know how life might use you. So we can't force it and push. We can't set ourselves up as someone who knows. We can feel immediately, physically, where this is incongruent and not in alignment with the truth of who we are. So stay really sensitive to what feels in alignment. And the minute it feels a bit sickening in a way, a bit yucky, stop. Stop and just feel. Stay with yourself. There's no need to push, no effort needed. Stay with your breath. And when life moves you, then you may express in some way. It's not up to you. It's a forever bowing down to life. Use me. So I'd love to hear from you now. If you have any questions, any sharing, you can raise your hand. You can also use the chat to ask any questions, but obviously it's more intimate. And if you have your video on, then we can have an actual dialogue. But everything's possible. So just raise your hand if you want to ask something.
Hey, Manny.
Hi, Michiel.
Hey. I assume that, behind the need to share whatever, could be this or anything that is perceived to be like helpful or whatever. There's like a need to some kind of need for meaning, no? Like if I don't do it, I don't fulfill, I'm not fulfilling, I'm not supporting, I'm not contributing. There's like, I noticed that within me there's this, I'm not being, I don't speak because like the mind says, okay, if you speak, you'll be important, but I also feel like by being quiet, I have these thoughts of like,
I missed if you speak, you'll be what?
By being silent with it, mostly, I find that I have these thoughts of, not contributing, not giving, not, like there's no purpose, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't share.
Yeah, if I don't, share, it doesn't have to be specifically something about non-duality, but something that comes from within.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you have this idea that you should share or should express what's in you, and otherwise you're not contributing, this puts a lot of pressure on you that you've got to somehow contribute. Otherwise what kind of person does it make you then if you don't contribute in your thinking?
Well, it's like, I think that it's not so much of, I don't know if it's what kind of person, but then it kind of means that my life is more shallow, like,
So it makes you a shallow person then in your belief.
Yeah.
So you should be doing something deep and meaningful. Otherwise, you're shallow. This is a lot of pressure, right? Then it can also paralyze you. But what if you just do something shallow? I mean, what's the difference, really? As long as, if you have a real concept of what is, let's say, more deep and meaningful, or what is coming from your heart, or whatever words we put to it, what is more spiritual, then you have a certain idea of like these things, or this type of thing is the right thing, or the more spirit. Let's just use the word spiritual for now. That's more spiritual, and then the other, or not doing, is more shallow or more superficial or unspiritual. It's kind of it's making certain things mean something about you. Like if you do certain things, those things, that will make you a more deep spiritual person. And if you do something that's considered more shallow, then that would be somehow making you a more shallow person. But actually, whatever you do is an expression of life itself. Working, cleaning toilets, that, according to some idea, it might be, oh, that's very shallow, menial work, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. You could be doing anything, but if you are standing in the truth of who you are, then life may take you to be doing that. It's not that you can find meaning for who you are by what you do. See what I mean? And that's often what we get confused about, that we're looking for meaning in what we do or what we experience. And
So how, yeah.
Go on.
So I'm just gonna ask like an innocent question. So what is like, what's the meaning?
The meaning.
Yeah, because it's, something in expressing yourself when it comes. As I said, we cannot do it, but when it comes, let's say somebody comes for a session and there's an expression of something more than, this, there is like a sense of fulfillment that comes with it.
Fulfillment. Yeah.
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 And not only by thoughts, right? It's not only because I'm thinking, oh, I did something right. There's like an energy that's like we both benefit from,
Yeah. That's
So
surrender when life is using you in those moments.
yeah, but when it doesn't happen, and maybe compared to these moments, which are, used to be more common and now they're more rare because I'm not offering so much, it's like there's this kind of, some kind that I could be fulfilled if I'm not,
So there's a preference for those moments, would you say?
Not all the time, but yeah.
Okay. If there's a preference for those moments, and then the thinking says those moments are where where it's at, it's that's the real stuff. And then the rest is shallow. Maybe I'm making it really extreme now, but it's maybe a bit like that. And as long as you are separating out the rest and saying that's not what I want to be doing, or what should, what is right or good, or then again, that you're putting a lot of pressure on those moments. They have to, you want only that or more of that, but it's not up to you. If you keep acknowledging that you don't know, that it's not up to you, You can't control when you have those beautiful moments when life seems to use you. It's out of your hands. And no matter what you do or where you are, life can use you, even if you're not doing a particular kind of work where you have those kind of sessions. Like I said, you can be cleaning a toilet and someone comes along and you have a beautiful moment together. You know, you meet someone on the bus, you know, wherever. Life can use you in any moment, in a party, you know, at a child's school, or, you know, any time, right? If you're available to it, for it. It's the preference. You know, that's where it gets a bit tricky. You're trying to manipulate things, or even if you're not trying, but it makes the rest of your life, when you don't have those moments, it makes the rest of your life kind of dull. And what a shame, right? It means that the rest of your life, you're not open to those beautiful moments. Somehow you close yourself off from that. And it can happen any moment. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, just like there's something that was like an interference. Can you just repeat the last sentence? That
I'm not sure what I said.
so I just got it could happen at any moment. Like basically,
Happen
to
at
not, yeah.
That's
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the availability that kind of makes the
The knowing that it's not in your hands. It's not in your hands. It doesn't matter what you do. It's that radical. It doesn't matter what you do, where you are, how you are, who you're with. That's the radical nature of this message. You know, that you can't manage it. You can't manipulate it in any way. It's not up to you. So then you may as well be doing anything. You know, there have been moments I've been holding these meetings and retreats for like nearly 18 years. And there have been moments when I've had certain, I don't know, moments in these times where I've considered, maybe I just stop all of this and become a waitress. You never know, I might. A waitress is a bit hard work, but, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay, let me stop there. Thanks, Michael.
thank you.
And I don't know how you pronounce your name, Michio? Yeah.
Michio.
Michio. Okay, hi.
Hello. Yeah, as we're discussing all of this, it was making me think of in my own life, I noticed that I'm experiencing like there'll be these urges or like ways that I would feel like I'd like to express myself, and then in a way I'd get in my own way. So like the yeah, I guess maybe like negative self-talk or like resistance to it, or like fear of like exposing myself and like going like expressing myself in this way or that like comes up, and then I hold myself back from like yeah, letting myself having a certain experience. And then I noticed though, but when I just kind of like, in spite of those resistances, I just like allow myself to just have the experience. It's like always this relief and like a feeling of maybe like expansion every time, like more resistance is dissolved.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're willing to feel what is here, even if it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
then the gifts are beyond that, are just over that hill, or even in that hill, in the midst of it. Just the very fact that you are acknowledging and listening to what this experience of this body right now is calling. It's calling for your attention.
Mhm.
And so it's so painful when we go on and on ignoring it and overlooking it. When we do actually stop and feel it, although it might be uncomfortable, at the same time it feels so right.
Mhm.
Finally I'm living my longing,
Mhm.
longing to meet myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you.
And I'm assuming at a certain point that like that willingness to like let myself meet that longing, that like I'm here and here's my longing, just kind of becomes one thing, or like there's no separation between me and my longing.
There's already no separation between you and your longing. It's just that you believe that there is. And when you have a look at that belief,
Yeah.
what makes you, how do you feel that there's a separation even? Can you find that separation? What does it feel like something? And can you sense it?
I mean, the only separation is the fact that like I'm resisting. Right.
You feel that you say that I, as if you are over here, and I am resisting the thing, whatever, But that's a way of talking, of course, but actually when you believe that I'm over here resisting that, you're already making that separation. You're believing that you're separate. In fact, in your direct experience, you feel what you're calling the resistance, or you could say fear or discomfort or sensation. You're feeling the sensation. But it's not that you, as a separate entity, are feeling that. Because where are you? In your actual experience, it's just the sensation itself. There's no you feeling it. There's no you resistant to an it. It's just this sensation. No separation already. Okay. Anna.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I feel that it's very nice to hear what you say. I feel exactly relaxing my body if you talk about it. And what I want to ask you is, how do you remember that realization in your daily life? Because, yeah, when you say it, I can feel that's the truth. But, and I have some experience that I can feel I'm not who I think I am. But it's difficult in difficult situations. Of course, I had the last days difficult situations and I think I have to be hardworking to let it go. But I know it is what you say, it's the truth, but it's not so. When you say it, I feel okay. Let it go. It's nothing. It's not me. But to remember when
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, I mean, it's a beautiful question, and of course, I think it's relevant for everybody. Yeah. So I would say, in a way, I could answer this question by saying one thing, and then I want to contradict myself and say the opposite, and that's just how it is.
Okay.
On one hand, there is nothing you need to do, except, I would say, put yourself in a situation where you resonate with this more and more. But really, there's nothing you need to do, because it's the thinking that says, I prefer the moments where I have this relaxation and recognition, right? And the rest of the time, when I have these uncomfortable situations and feelings and thoughts, that I want to fix that, right? So I have these beautiful experience of recognition here and relaxation, and then there's this contrasting experience when I feel uncomfortable, and I want to hold on to that the relaxation experience and bring it over here to fix the experience, right? Which is a natural thing. We want to have a nice experience all the time, but it doesn't work that way. It's the thinking that wants to grasp this experience and take it over there. So when you have those moments of discomfort and perhaps a lot of thinking or emotions, and maybe old wounds are being triggered and some old identities are playing out. So I see those moments as a wonderful opportunity to feel what's there, to get more honest with yourself. What is playing out there? What is being triggered? What identity is coming up in the forefront?
Okay.
But knowing that those moments are not wrong, they're not something to fix, they're not a problem, right? They don't mean that you've now lost this beautiful relaxation and recognition. You haven't lost anything. The experience has simply changed, which is the nature of experience. It changes all the time. And it's only the thinking that says it needs to be always beautiful and relaxing. It doesn't be always anything. It isn't always anything. It's always changing. So when those experiences come, it's like, okay, thank you, life. This is an opportunity now. So now is where I contradict myself. I feel it's also important to nourish ourselves and give ourselves moments where we spend some time alone, in silence, acknowledging what we feel, Yeah, taking time to, maybe it's in the form of sitting and meditating, noticing our thoughts, our breath, acknowledging what is aware of it all. But maybe it's not just in sitting, maybe it's in dancing, maybe it's in singing, or maybe it's in taking a walk in nature. But whatever it is for you, it's a time when you consciously are acknowledging and becoming sensitive to what's happening for this body, and that you are aware of it. That you nourish yourself with these moments on a regular basis, and that you bring yourself to situations like this where you can resonate more and more energetically with the truth of who you are rather than your thinking. You're always in situations and amongst people which, you know, who are constantly believing that the thinking is the God, right?
Yeah.
Following our thinking and believing in our thinking all the time, then you kind of resonate more on that frequency with them. But if you are amongst people or in situations like this, where we're pointing to what is beyond the thinking, then you start to resonate more and more with that frequency.
Yeah.
That can actually, that frequency can grow in you more and more over time.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Erica, you've just put in the chat a question about the upcoming retreat. Yeah, I was going to speak about that, so great that you ask. Well, so I'm holding a retreat here in Portugal next week, or this week, starting on Thursday. It's a 5-day retreat, and I know here at least 1 or 2 people are actually coming. That's great. And it will also be online. So yeah, you're welcome to join us online from the comfort of your own home. There'll be 2 sessions a day with a break in the middle. And it will be a small group of people live and probably online as well. So lots of time to have one-to-one interaction. And the format of it, and sorry, yes, you can still sign up. Absolutely. You can go on my website and sign up. Yeah, the format of it is that I will give some talks, and then there'll be dialogues, and most likely, as it will be a small group, there'll be time also for those participating online to also have dialogues and ask questions. Yeah, and if you are here in Portugal, then you can also join just for 1 day or more. My preference is always that people join for the whole 5 days, but I'm opening it up also for people to join for just a day. And online, yeah, you'll get all the recordings, so you don't have to join live, but of course, if you do join live, then you have the opportunity to actually have interaction. Yeah. Thanks, you're welcome, Erica. Any more questions before we end for today? Yeah, also just to say that the next open webinar will be on the 4th of December, and the theme is I think it was, what was it? 1 second, let's check. Yeah, can't find it right now. Anyway, it was something about how to find the end of suffering, how to discover the end of suffering. Very a good subject as well, relevant for everybody. We all know suffering in one form or another. Yeah. And if you have any questions about participating in the retreat, which is the 3rd to the 7th of November, you can always email us at admin@dietolove.com. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's lovely to see you all. And also for those watching on YouTube, lovely. I can't see you, but it's hope you had you enjoyed this session. See you next time. Thank you very much, everybody. Lots of love.